I'm just touching her all over, and I can tell she's okay at the shoulder, but then as soon as I get down past the shoulder, oh, that was better, it started to bother a little bit. And so that exact same approach and back away that we did trying to get up to her at first, we're going to do the same thing with sensitive areas. So she's comfortable with me petting her up here. She's actually comfortable with me petting her up closer by her head today too. And so we want to start working on her legs now. Now that we're catching her consistently and she's starting to trust me better, we want to see if we can't get to the point where we can pick up her feet. So I'm going to catch her where she's comfortable, and then work my way down where she's a little bit uncomfortable, and then come back up to where she's comfortable. Down, and then come back up to where she's comfortable. I'm going to walk her way up to pull a little bit. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Start with where I know she's comfortable. Let's see if we'll make a little bit. And she's a little bit unsure about that. You see her tense up, but you stayed with me. So then instead of going further, I stay there where she's just showing the slightest amount of being uncomfortable. And then go back to where she is comfortable. And work my way up a little bit. So that time she didn't show any signs of being bothered about it, so then I can progress forward. And you don't want to progress to the point where they try to run away. You want to progress to the point where you see them kind of tense up and perk up or kind of lean away and go, oh, I don't know. And that's the point that you want to stay right there and then immediately back off, very quickly. Same thing with her legs, or horses that don't want their ears touched or anything like that. When the horse relaxes into it, you don't want to necessarily always push forward more. So let's stay with her right there, and then when she stops with me, I'll go back to where she's going. Working my way down the leg. Lisa right there, she was uncomfortable, so I'm just going to stay with her. Good girl. And then I then go back to where she is comfortable. And it's a very long, tedious process, but that's just what goes into it with any horse. So I'm going to give her a carrot. And what I'm starting to do now, I had the carrots in pieces. I was breaking the carrots up into pieces at the very beginning, but now I'm leaving them whole and having her take a bite out of them because, as you see, it takes her a little bit longer. And so I'm just getting her used to not being able to just kind of sneak up and grab it out of my hand and run away. I'm getting her used to the idea of coming up and having to take the time to bite it off, and then if she wants to leave, she can. So we're just progressing to where hopefully when I come in, instead of the first couple times she kind of just runs up and grabs it, she'll actually be comfortable and confident approaching me and spending more time with me and not just starting off the first few times. I'm just going to pet her a little bit like I did earlier and see if I can work my way down her leg a little bit. I have to be comfortable with that. Good. Well done. Again, I know she's comfortable with me at her withers, so I'll just slowly work my way down to the areas that she's not comfortable with. And as soon as she shows the slightest bit of nervousness, I'll go back to where she's comfortable, but then go back to where she wasn't. Good girl. I'm going to keep my hand on her, or at least up close to her, and see if she'll take a step towards me. Good. Good. So anytime that she really moves away from me, if she just takes a little step, I won't always make a big deal about it. But if she really is like, okay, I'm out of here, then what I'll usually want to do is have her come back towards me, because if I pursue her as she's moving away, it's going to make her more nervous because she's going to feel like I'm chasing her. So by making her step back towards me, I'm making it clear that I'm not chasing her, that I'm expecting her to cooperate. And all we're doing is building up trust. Good girl. Okay, now what I'm going to do to help get her used to having her legs touched is I'm going to use an extra rope. And because she has the lead rope dragging, it shouldn't be too weird for her to have a rope touching her legs. But we're going to bring in a different rope and just play with them touching her legs and see how she reacts to that before I bend down and put myself in a compromised position trying to touch them. So I'm just going to swing it first before I go to her legs. Good girl. And now see, I'm swinging it and touching her on the leg with it. Good girl. Because eventually I'm going to use the rope to help me stay safe while I teach her to pick up her feet. So she has to be comfortable with it. Going to do, because I'd eventually like to be able to put the rope around her leg, like I said, it's just a way that I can stay safe while I teach her to pick up her feet. I'm going to take one end of it and I'm going to kind of just toss it so it wraps around just a little bit. Good girl. So I don't know if you can see it on the video, but as the rope kind of wraps halfway around and is getting the inside of the leg a little bit. Good girl. Good. Good girl. And I'm ready. I still am going to keep the lead rope that's attached to her, because if she gets really upset about it, I want to be able to pull her towards me. Again, that just keeps me safe. Good girl. So she's not at all bothered about that. And like I said, because she's had the lead rope dragging, I didn't think it was going to bother her too much. Now what I'd like to do is try to see, since she is being really relaxed with this, if this made her upset, then I would stick with it for quite a while longer. But because she doesn't seem really at all bothered about it touching her, I'm going to see if I can just put it through in between her front legs. Good. And again, I'm just doing a lot of touching and rubbing her and getting her used to it. Good girl, good. So she's doing pretty well standing still, but if you can see by the way that she was positioned, she was still a little bit thinking about leaving. So I'm going to walk her up again and then start to try to get it between her legs. Good. And having them walk up a few steps just helps them again feel like you're not chasing them or you're not doing anything to them. It makes them feel a little bit more comfortable and that they have some freedom as well, and it kind of breaks up that thought pattern a little bit. So she was standing for me, but she was kind of leaning away, like I'm kind of thinking about leaving. And so by having her step up at that moment, it kind of breaks up that thought pattern and go, no, you're with me. Good girl. And it is important when you're dealing with a horse that's not really comfortable with their legs touched or picking up their feet, that you stay really safe, okay? Because it's really easy to get struck or kicked before you even know it. So that's why I like to use the rope and use other things so I can stay upright, so I can move how I need to and I'm not bent over in a compromised position. Good girl. So as I was touching her and rubbing her with both of my hands and with the rope, I just slipped it around her leg. So now all I'm going to do, while keeping the lead rope over her head, and it doesn't have to be really tight, but I'm not going to let it have huge slack either, because I want to be able to, like I said, to pull her towards me if I need to. And I'm not going to put pressure on this green rope that's around her leg. I'm not going to put pressure on it. I'm just going to have it touch her. Good girl. Good. Good girl. Good. Good girl. Good. And I just let it lay on her while she was stepping. I didn't use it to hinder her from moving away at all. Now I'm going to pull her towards me, but I'm not going to use the green rope on her leg yet. I'm just going to pull her towards me with the halter. And I'm just going to let that green rope just kind of hang there. Good. Good. And if it comes off, it comes off. It doesn't matter. Good. Good. She's really kind of stuck. See how she won't move her hind? There. Good. 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 I'm doing the best I can to keep as much slack in that green rope as possible. Good. Good. There we go. See how before she was kind of reluctantly giving me an inch at a time, and then there she actually walked forward a little bit, so that's when I'll give her a hit. Good girl. Now I'll ask her to come forward a little bit more. Good. Good. Better. Good girl. Okay, so now I'll go back to the side and play with the ropes. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just start to get her used to the pressure on it. And I don't want to use it to start with to have her fold at the knee and pick it up like we normally do when we have them pick up their feet to have them trimmed or anything like that. I'm going to actually do one that's going to be easier for her and she'll understand better, and I have something to back it up. I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on it and ask her to take a step forward, just so she's used to the pressure. But I have the halter and lead rope, and I can ask her to come forward with this as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on it, and a little bit of pressure on her halter. And when she steps forward with that foot, I'm going to release the pressure. Good. This is kind of like, you've heard the term leading by the foot. This is basically the starting of that exercise as well. So same thing again, I'm going to put the pressure on this green rope and then back it up with the halter. Good. And anytime she moves, I don't really care all that much where she moves it at this point in time. Good. Back it up with the halter. Good. And now that she's doing pretty well, give her a minute with just the pressure on her leg before I come in with the halter. And you keep changing angles. Good. Until she gets to it. So again, putting pressure on the leg rope, waiting for a minute, put pressure on the halter. Good. Pressure on the leg. Excellent. That was the first time that she moved it without me having to back it up with the halter, so I'm going to give her a care. Good girl. Good. I'm going to ask again. Just pressure on the rope right now. Good. Good girl. Now I'm going to back up with her halter. Good. And you see, you just keep changing angles until it works. You don't want to get caught in a tug of war because your horse will just zone out on you. So like I said, you just keep changing angles. Now I put pressure on the halter until you get that step. Good. Good girl. Good job. Now, and if she wants to leave, at this point in time, I'm not going to use the leg rope to try to discourage her from leaving. If she wants to leave, I can put pressure on the halter, but I'm going to try to keep the leg rope as slack as possible. Good. Now I'm going to walk forward. Good. Good. But now I can use the leg rope to ask her to come forward, but I'm not going to use it to stop her from going backwards if she feels like she wants to leave. Excellent job. Good girl. Good. 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 Well done. Good girl. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move it up a little bit. I'm going to go to her side, and I'm going to touch her, and I'm going to move it up just a little bit and see if we can do the same thing at her knee. This is a little bit trickier because it tends to fall down, but we're just going to play with it and see what we can get. Okay, so now I've got it up behind her knee. I'm going to see if she'll take a step forward with it from there. So I got a little bit of pressure on the leg rope, and I'm also pulling on the halter. Good. Good. Leg rope again, and halter. Good. Leg rope. Oh, good girl. And now that was the first time with it up that high. Good girl. As you did with just off of the leg rope. Ask again. Leg rope, and then I'll back it up with the halter. Good. Leg rope. Good girl. Good. Well done. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the leg rope off of her, and I'm going to walk away for a minute. Because I want to give her the opportunity, for one, to get to think about it without me doing something else to her. And also, her problem is catching. So I want to be able to do something with her and then let her go and come back and catch her again. Do something else, let her go, come back and catch her again. Good. So, did you see her kind of leaning away, getting really nervous? I'm not going to rush in there and touch her in that case. I want her to be relaxed because I don't want her to feel like it's being forced on her. Now I'm going to try to do the same thing with the leg rope on the other side. Good girl. I start all over at the beginning again. Just going to touch her a little bit. there, even if I can't touch her. Good. Until she stops. Good. Good girl. Good. Now I'm going to play with this rope a little bit. Good. Good girl. You can tell she's a little bit more nervous on this side actually. So I'm ready with this rope if I need to pull her towards me. And I'm just going to let this one kind of hang and bump her gently. Good. 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 Now I'm letting it kind of wrap around her leg. Good. Good job. Good. I'm just going to kind of let it, I'll actually just take one side, and I'm going to let it just kind of wrap around her leg a little bit. Good girl. So mainly just so she is okay with it touching her on the inside of the leg. Good. Good. Now you can also do a lot of this kind of work, just getting her used to the touch with a little like dressage whip as well. But because she's a gaited horse, and because we believe that she may have been abused, I'm not bring a whip out just yet. Now I'm going to slowly just kind of pet her with the rope and with both my hands and see if I can get it around her leg. Good. But yeah, she's a little bit more nervous about this side. Good. I don't really want her to feel claustrophobic up against that pole, so I'm going to circle her back around. again, she was really leaning away, so I'm just going to rub her for a minute and then take her for a little walk. And the point when working with horses like this is not to necessarily get anything done in your mindset. The idea is that you're keeping her relaxed and building her confidence. And so if I run in here with the idea that I'm going to pick up her legs, then it's not going to go as well. And I need to give her a lot of time and just let her build up her confidence and feel comfortable with it. That's okay. Good girl. So she got a little bit bothered about it, but she didn't totally leave. So I am going to come back with the rope until she takes a step back towards me. But I'm not going to make a big deal about it. Good. Good girl. And for her, it's an improvement that she didn't try to just blow off completely. So once again, I'm just letting it kind of swing and wrap around the inside of her legs. Because that was the point that she just got nervous a minute ago, was when I tried to put it around the inside. Good. Good girl. Good. And again, by taking moments to step her back towards me, it's reminding her that I'm not just after her, I'm not just going to do a bunch of stuff to her, that she's a part of it as well. Good. Good. And we may not get as far on this side today as we did on the other side, and that's fine. Like I said, you can't really go in when you have a really nervous, untrusting horse. You can't really go in with goals. You just have to accept what the horse is willing to present to you. And the reason I keep holding the rope up is because I don't want her to think if she moves away it's going to go away, because then it's just going to teach her to move away. So even if I can't still be touching the same spot, I'll still keep holding the rope up so she knows that it's still there and it's not going to make it go away just because she moves. Whereas if she moves away and I put the rope down, then, like I said, it's just going to train her to move away. Good. I'm going to see if she'll step over into it a little bit. Good. Good girl. Okay, so just like I did on the other side, I've got a hold of her, the lead rope attached to her halter, and I'm just going to kind of rub this one up and down and just let her feel it without really putting much of any pressure on it. Good girl. Good. Now I'm going to see if she'll take a step forward with it. So some pressure on the green rope on her leg, and then some pressure on the halter. Good. Last one again. Good. That was very good giving to it. Good girl. Good girl. That's okay. So this time I'd like to be able to walk right up and catch her. So we'll see. Thank you, good girl. Very well done, good girl. Now let's see if we can go right back to work with the leg rope. Good. Good. Step towards me again. Good. Good. again, same advanced retreat technique. Just like when we were catching her. Good. Much easier that time. Good girl. Just gonna touch her with it a little bit. Good girl. Now let's see if I can get her to step. Put some pressure on the rope. Good girl. That was actually a very good response, and I'm going to reward her for that. Even though she's a little bit unsure about what she's doing, I want to encourage her that that was the right response to pick up her foot. Got pressure on the green rope, and then I'll back it up with the halter. Good. And that's excellent, even if she doesn't step, but just picking it up is perfect. Because again, eventually, this will translate into getting us to pick up her foot, like for having her feet done. Good. Good. And if she tries to back out, just like on the other side, I'm not going to use the rope to stop her, because she's just now is still learning what that means. So I'll use the rope to ask her forward, but I'm not going to use it to stop her if she wants to back up. I'll back it up with the halter. Good. Good. Well done. Good. Awesome. That was very good. I'm going to see if she'll step it forward for me. There, good girl. Very good job. Okay, now I'm going to go to her side, and I'm going to bring the rope up to her knee, just like we did on the other side. Good girl. Same thing, pressure on the leg rope, and then I'll back it up with the halter. Good. Good girl. Good. Well done. Good girl. And that's what we want, is to have her comfortable with that pressure holding her leg up. Because like I said, eventually we want to be able to just bend down and pick up her foot and have her hold it there for us. And so the fact that she's letting me actually hold it up a little bit and isn't pulling it away from me, good, is really good. I'm not going to push her too much because I don't want her to be nervous about it, but I'll hold it for just a second. Oh, good girl. Well done. Oh, that was very light. Good girl. Good. Well done. Good girl. Yes, very good. Good. See if I can get her to step with it. Good. Well done. Okay, now I'm going to go to her side, pet her with her, and then just pull the rope off with her. So I'm going to be done with her front feet today, but I've heard that her hind feet are much harder. So I'm not going to try to pick them up or anything, but I'm just going to start by just flicking them with the rope, just a little bit on each side before we finish for today, and then hopefully in the next few days we can start to get the same progress with her hind as what we got with her front today. So I've got the lead rope that's attached to the halter ready in case I have to pull her towards me. And I'm just going to kind of let the lead rope touch her. And see how I'm standing up here by her shoulder, so in case she does kick out, I should be far enough forward, good girl, that it's not going to get me. Good. Good girl. Walk her forward. Good. I'm just going to touch her a few times with it. Good girl. Good. Then I'm going to turn around and do the same for the other side. So I'm not really going to address her hind feet right now. I'm just going to present to her the idea that we might go there at some point. Good. Again, I'm just staying up here by her shoulder. This is why I use the rope, so it keeps me safe in case she was to get upset and kick out or anything. And I've got a good hold on the lead rope attached to her halter. In case she tries to leave, I want to pull her head towards me. Good girl. And she's doing quite well on this side with her hind. Now I'm just going to walk her with me for a minute, and then I'm going to let her go and be done for the day. Good girl. Good.